Welcome to Pathfinder Campus, the podcast where we explore real conversations about leading people, building trust, creating cultures where teams can thrive. Today's episode, From Command to Coaching, is about transforming an autocratic organization. Everyone, I'm Barry Morgan, and today I'm joined by somebody with decades of leadership and experience in hospitality coaching and organizational development, Gord Sarkissian. Gord, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Barry. Always great to be part of a conversation like this. It's a topic a lot of leaders are really wrestling with. How to move an organization from old school command and control to something more human, more capable, and a lot more effective.
Absolutely. And let's be honest, many workplaces still operate in an autocratic mode, even though the world no longer supports that.
That's true, Barry. Leaders want innovation, they want engagement and ownership, but the system they've built are designed for obedience, not contribution.
Let's start by grounding ourselves, Gord. How would you describe the feel of an autocratic workplace?
Well, it feels tight, it feels heavy, predictable in all the wrong ways. You hear things like, just tell me what you want, or we don't make decisions, we wait. There's things like, that's above my pay grade. People shut down their initiative because the system rewards compliance, not creativity.
Yeah, I've heard employees say it's easier to turn off my brain rather than risk being questioned for thinking creatively.
Exactly, exactly. And people, once they stop contributing their thinking, their organization's potential shrinks dramatically.
So let's flip. What does coaching culture look like?
Well, a coaching culture is one where leaders uplift the intelligence of the room. Instead of directing, they're asking, what do you see? What's possible? What do you recommend? It's a conversation-based culture built on curiosity, partnership, and accountability.
And I guess people feel like their roles include thinking, not just doing.
Yeah, right. A coaching culture activates people. It taps into pride, into ownership, two things autocratic systems crush.
So why do so many organizations stay autocratic long after it serves them? It doesn't seem right.
Well, two reasons. It's familiar, so leaders run on what was run on them. It's fast in the short term. Autocratic decisions are quick, but they can be very shallow. The modern workplace needs deeper thinking, broader input, and more adaptability. Autocratic structures simply are not designed to provide that.
Yeah, and I guess there's also the ego thing.
Yeah, leaders fear if they stop having all the answers, they'll lose credibility. In reality, coaching-based leaders gain credibility because they elevate the entire team's capability.
Okay, then let's get tactical. A leader wants to shift towards coaching, but works inside a rigid top-down system. Where do they start?
Well, they can start with their own leadership practice, where they own their own self-awareness. Don't wait for the organization. Model the conversation. Replace your directives with questions. Replace rescuing with empowerment. Replace tasks with ownership. Even simple shifts change the tone. Simply ask, what would you do if you owned this decision? What outcome do you want here? What does success look like for you?
And I guess it's amazing. Small changes change the energy.
Listen, culture shifts through repeated moments, not through memos.
One of the biggest barriers is resistance. What do leaders do when other leaders aren't ready?
Well, they stop trying to convert everyone. They start building a small coalition of people who are willing. And they reframe coaching from soft skills to performance accelerators. Coaching improves clarity. It also reduces reworking things. It also expands thinking, and it really does increase ownership. These are not soft outcomes, they're operational advantages.
Yeah, and I guess it is pretty hard for skeptics to argue with good results.
Exactly. Once coaching influenced teams outperform, people begin to notice.
So give us a real contrast, autocratic versus coaching. How does the conversation shift?
Sure. Autocratic approach says, fix this. Update me at 2. In a coaching approach, the question is, we're behind schedule. What's your assessment? What options do you see? What support do you need? What will you commit to by 2 o'clock?
So same expectations, same urgency, better outcome.
Probably, yeah, because the coaching version grows the person, not just the task.
You often say coaching culture has to be baked in, not bolted on. What do you mean by that?
Exactly, yeah. So coaching cultures embed the mindset into performance reviews, meeting structures, onboarding, leadership programs, feedback rhythms. If coaching is only an occasional program, it tends to fade. If it becomes part of how the work is done, it sticks.
So how do leaders know they're making progress then, Gord?
Well, you look for things you can see and you can hear. People begin to volunteer ideas. Teams solve problems without escalation. Conversations are more reflective. Accountability seems to be shared, not forced. Trust rises, silence decreases, engagement and retention improve. These are behavioral metrics, not just survey metrics.
So if I understand, it's less about dashboards and more about dialogue.
Exactly. You hear a coaching culture long before you measure it.
I want to talk to you about the emotional side. Leaders often fear losing authority when they start coaching. How do you handle that?
Well, that's a big one. Coaching leadership requires vulnerability, letting go of control, asking instead of telling, and admitting you don't have all the answers. But here's the twist, Barry. Employees already know leaders don't have all the answers. Coaching simply aligns leadership with reality.
Wow, that's powerful.
Yeah, yeah, coaching isn't a loss of authority, it's a repurposing of it. You shift from being the expert to being the catalyst.
Gord, you've coached many organizations through cultural shifts. Can you share a story shows what's possible?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. I've worked with a hospitality organization where the leadership team had a long history of top-down directives, command and control. People followed orders but didn't feel empowered or trusted. When coaching was introduced, obviously people were skeptical at first, almost suspicious. But over time, leaders began to do some things. They started asking more questions. They started listening without interrupting, delegating outcomes, not tasks, and celebrating initiative. Within a year, retention improved, cross-department friction decreased, and teams felt heard for the first time in years. It wasn't flashy, it was consistent. Coaching became the rhythm of the place.
Well, we've unpacked a lot today, Gord. What's the one message you would want leaders to leave with?
Well, a coaching culture doesn't require permission. It starts with one leader choosing better conversations, conversations that grow people. If you shift the conversation, you shift the culture.
Beautifully said. Thank you, Gord, for sharing your insight, your experience, and your heart for leadership.
Hey, Barry, it's my pleasure, Barry. I always enjoy these conversations.
Thanks for joining us on Pathfinder Campus with your host, Barry Morgan, and guest, Gord Sarkissian. If this episode inspired you, share it with your leadership team. And remember, great cultures aren't commanded into existence, they're coached into being.